Hello, and welcome back to Desert Mountain Apothecary. I'm Will Brennan, natural lifestyle expert and founder of Desert Mountain Apothecary. My subject this week is sleep, and it's one of the most important factors for your health and your cognitive ability and your mood, and for my purposes, especially appearance. It's called beauty sleep for a reason. Yesterday's video was about tech, screens, social media, and sleep. And that deserved to be a standalone video to me because I think that's the number one thing causing insomnia. So I really wanted people to be able to zero into that information and get that because it's probably more relevant than anything else. But in terms of how to get a better night's sleep, there's so much that comes into the lifestyle and health sector, and that really is what we're talking about: sleep hygiene. The screens thing is also sleep hygiene, but sleep hygiene is a variety of methods for affecting behavioral change in order to get a better night's sleep. Now, I think a great metaphor for sleep hygiene, and something that's very similar to any parent that has looked into how to get their baby to sleep through the night, sleep hygiene is very similar to getting a baby to sleep through the night. So it's a great metaphor to think of yourself as putting yourself to bed as you would a baby. So I'm really hoping everyone out there, you would not give your baby lots of caffeinated beverages in the late afternoon and evening. Please don't put Diet Coke in your baby's bottle. You wouldn't watch a lot of really violent and frightening programming before bed. You would not put your baby to bed in a bright room. You wouldn't put your baby to bed in uncomfortable bedding, and so on and so forth. And it's funny that we would have to think of ourselves as an infant in order to make those really simple changes. But if that helps, then it really doesn't matter what device you're using. You're getting the benefit of a better night's sleep. So the first category is lifestyle, and that's a word that's bandied about so much today. But lifestyle is a combination of your routines, the routines you do in a day, week, month, and your habits, good or bad. And most human beings are real creatures of habit. We are hardwired to be this way. But that can be very problematic when bad habits and an unhealthy lifestyle become our day-to-day, and they have a profound effect. Most people who are on medication for long-term chronic illnesses actually would have a lifestyle solution and not have to be on those drugs, but they don't want to. They don't want to make any changes. And ultimately, they do pay the price, but our entire system and we all collectively pay the price. And it's really fascinating to me how some people that I know who have family, children and grandchildren, loving spouse, well off and comfortable, could travel, could do whatever they wanted, are truly unwilling to make even the slightest change to live better. And that truly perplexes me, because when I read some of these changes and suggestions, they are almost as close to zero effort as you can get. So getting into lifestyle, your routine through the day is your lifestyle. So for example, getting some sunshine during the day. And I understand in the winter in most of the country, there isn't sunshine during the day. It's not easy to live in total darkness. We evolved coming out of Eastern Africa, where there wouldn't have been this cold, damp, dark winter. And then we moved all over the globe and adapted. But most of us, in a hard winter, in that darkness, day after day after day after day, it makes us feel awful, and it really gets our circadian rhythm out of balance. I find myself in the winter having a much harder time going to sleep at the right time and waking up at the right time. I'm not as sure if it's a waking time or a sleeping time. Now, living out in the desert, this isn't nearly as much as a factor, but in the last year, we had a very wet winter and more cloudy days than sunny days. So it actually took me back. I was prompted to go back into that mindset of winter mindset, even though, there's no snow on the ground and we're not truly trapped in the house. But it's different than all the other winters where I've been in the sun every day, in the pool whenever I wanted to, and you don't have that downgrade of your mood and your sleep cycle and how you feel like I always used to feel in the winter, and most people feel this way. So even if it's a filtered sunlight, if it's cloudy, if you can just get out at lunchtime and just get whatever daylight there is on your face, that's going to be helpful. With your circadian rhythm, you have a waking time throughout the 24-hour cycle and you have a sleeping time throughout the 24-hour cycle. The more you can feel awake when you're supposed to, the more you're going to feel asleep when you're supposed to. So the worst case scenario, which is all too familiar to most people, is groggy, miserable, and exhausted all day, downing caffeine just to be able to keep your eyes open, and then at night having insomnia and not able to sleep throughout the night. And you never truly awake, you're never truly asleep, and you just feel awful. And like I've said before, we are primed for survival, so we therefore get used to things. We get used to things because we need to survive till the next day. So we quickly get used to feeling bad. Before you know it, we don't remember what it was like to feel good anymore. But through these lifestyle changes, it's actually very achievable to go back into a proper circadian rhythm. So get whatever sunshine you can during the day. I'm not saying to go and get a sunburn or a suntan. Obviously, some sunscreen, sunglasses, hat, the whole thing is still required for this. But get out and get into a sunbeam if at all possible. And it's also very important to keep regular sleep hours. Not staying up all night on the weekends and then you can't get to sleep Monday night and you've ruined your sleep cycle for the next week, and so on and so on. And another thing is catch up sleep. Yes, you can. Yes, our body is like a battery and we can expend our energy and catch up later. But what we fail to realize is that it takes a lot to catch up. We are so far behind when we miss a night's sleep that it'll take us weeks to catch up. And few of us actually truly do that. We think if we are in a deficit of 6 hours, if we get an extra 6 hours of sleep throughout the week, that'll be enough to bring us back. And it's not. We need way more sleep to compensate for missed sleep. So it's really important. I enjoy going out. Maybe it's a good thing that the last call is 2 a.m. in California because I'm not tempted to stay out till 4. I love going out, but at a certain point, the night kind of like turns, and there's nothing else out there for you. And for someone who's single, like you really don't want to just pick up people at last call. I mean, it's okay to go home alone and be by yourself. And something I do every single day, and when I don't, I'm so miserable, is stretching and using the massage roller. It's great to do this right before bed because something that keeps us up is our aches and pains. And like I said before, we get used to feeling bad. We get used to feeling achy and stiff. But that sensation, that negative sensory information that's coming into our brain is still enough to diminish our sleep, either to wake us up, maybe not fully, but to keep us from going in that deep, successive REM cycle sleep that we need. That's the sleep that's going to make us beautiful and healthy and happy. So doing this before sleep it's great for lymphatic drainage. It's great for just feeling good inside your body. I talk about how you should appeal to every one of your 5 senses in order to get yourself to go to sleep well. Our feeling of touch includes how we feel inside our body. It's a sensory experience, how we feel in each minute of the day. So to improve your sensory experience, you're having a huge gain. You're more relaxed, you feel better, you're not as achy and painy throughout the night. And in the morning, you're definitely going to feel better. And I suggest stretching in the morning too. You don't have to do it for hours. 10 minutes of stretching, 4 or 5 minutes with the massage roller makes a world of difference. One thing that's really, really helpful to getting a better night's sleep is to getting into a hot tub, soaking tub, whirlpool tub, hot bath, hot shower. Get in some hot water for a prolonged amount of time and take a nice soak, and then take your shower for the next day. You will, trust me, 20 minutes in a hot tub and you will be way more tired than you otherwise would have been, way more relaxed. And it's hydrotherapy. It's nothing new. We don't need to reinvent the wheel to get a good night's sleep. We actually need to go back to a more pure, natural state. Aromatherapy is one of the biggest aids in getting to sleep. My gold standard nighttime essential oil is lavender oil. Lavender oil is a pleasant fragrance. It's a floral and slightly herbaceous fragrance, and it has an association with peace and relaxation. And then it also works by getting into your bloodstream and causing a feeling of relaxation and serenity. So you have any fragrance that you enjoy will relax you. Just liking it and enjoying the sensation of enjoying it. Just enjoying that fragrance relaxes you. Then when you add on something that's actually working inside your body to relax you, you're doubling your effects. There are a lot of ways you can use essential oils. You have to make sure that they're safe for your skin. Lavender is safe to put on your skin. Usually you want to dilute it a little bit or use it in a balm, for example. You can use it in your bath. You can use it in an essential oil diffuser. You can use it on your pulse points. I really suggest, if you're trying to use it on your body, to put it on the soles of your feet and your pulse points. The soles of your feet are the most absorptive part of your body, and anything you put in there will get into your bloodstream faster than anywhere else. I really suggest that people do not use candles and incense inside the house. You don't realize it, but when you're burning incense inside the house, it's like smoking a pack of cigarettes. Paraffin candles, same. Soy candles and beeswax candles are not as bad as paraffin candles. Paraffin is a petroleum-based product. You wouldn't put a bucket of gasoline on fire in your living room, nor should you have a bunch of paraffin candles going in your living room. And the other thing is, when you're trying to sleep, candles and incense are a huge fire hazard. Some suggestions for aromatherapy are chamomile, lavender, lang lang, something with, and then avoid spicy things because that's more stimulating, and citrus. Citrus essential oils are stimulating and they'll wake you up. So at night, a little lavender, a little lang lang, and you're going to make a positive association with that. Something about these lifestyle enhancements is that as you do them and you make them your routine and your lifestyle, you have a positive association with them because you're intentionally getting yourself into a sleepy state. A big part of what keeps us up at night is the worry and stress and uncertainty of what the next day will bring. So preparing for that next day as much as possible helps you so much because you know in the morning that's done. I like to plan things by the worst possible outcome and then move up from there. So the worst possible outcome for your sleep is that you don't sleep and you have insomnia all night. What are you going to do to that future self who hasn't slept all night? How are you going to help them? Self-care is all about identifying your future self's needs and helping that future self and giving your future self a gift from the present time. So that person that future you is exhausted, can't even see straight, can barely shuffle out of bed. Do every single thing to make that person's morning better so that they can actually slog through the next day a little bit easier. And also, after you've done all these things, you're going to be more relaxed because you have a certainty of how things are going to go the next day, and you've exerted more control into your life. So my list for things to prepare for the next day are: charge your phone, set out your outfit, and also your accessories. This is really important. Set out scarf, jewelry, shoes, belt, everything that make a complete outfit. When you are groggy and miserable in the morning, you're not going to put an outfit together. But it is dressing up when you have to leave the house every day is very psychologically important. So put that outfit together with jewelry. If you need to lay out a certain makeup to go with that, be as complete as possible. You are not going to have the wherewithal in the morning to do this. Next, if you're a gym goer or you're doing sports, put all your gym gear, put your gym bag together, all your sports equipment. And next is your tech gear, everything you'll need for the next day: laptops, tablets, anything that you need. Your lunch, I really suggest making your lunch the night before and bringing it to work rather than buying it every day. It's not only a great way to save money, but you'll soon find that your leftovers from the next day are actually delicious when you're outside the home, because all the flavors of home and all the wonderful food that you make for yourself is, I promise you, going to be better than takeout, and you will save hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. So I also suggest, if it's at all possible, to do a little dinner prep for the next day. And this could be as simple as chopping some vegetables, defrosting something, but intentionally working ahead by those 20 hours is going to make you feel much more at ease. And this list could be different for everyone, but ask yourself, how can you work ahead? When you're so exhausted, you can barely be reactive. Trying to force yourself to be proactive in these little things can take your stress level way down, and you deserve that. So while you're doing all this, I suggest to sip on some herbal tea. Now, I make my own herbal tea, not for sale, but I make herbal tea out of dried chamomile flowers and dried lavender flowers. Now, I don't have insomnia very often anymore because I do all these things. I have all but cured my insomnia. So I do feel like, and I had crippling, horrific insomnia where I would go days and nights without even a wink of sleep and just be miserable. Eventually, I found that this combination of chamomile and lavender tea was like taking a Valium. I don't think I've ever even finished an entire cup of it. And yeah, the lavender tea tastes bad. It tastes like soap. So you hold your nose and you take a couple sips, and I mean, seriously, it is like taking a Valium without all the toxicity. It would be easier for all of us to take a benzodiazepine every night and just float off into a benzo haze. But that catches up with you very quickly, much quicker than people realize. You're not getting a proper night's sleep because you're not getting all the deep REM cycles. You're not, and it's doing really major damage to your liver, and they are habit forming. So you'll need, and you become resistant to it. So you'll need to take more over time. The level in your bloodstream will increase. Eventually, you could actually die from an overdose because that's not leaving your system. You're just putting more and more and more and more, and your body can't process that out. So I'd say a little lavender tea is a lot better for that, and the only sacrifice you have to make is that little bit of soapy taste. I suggest giving yourself about 30 minutes in bed just to unwind. So if your goal is to have 8 hours of sleep a night, schedule yourself 8 hours and 30 minutes. For example, you want to take a nap. 20 minutes is the ideal time to nap. But it takes me at least 5 or 10 minutes to fall asleep. So if I'm lying down for 20 minutes and it takes me 7 minutes to fall asleep, then I only really have slept for 13 minutes. But if I lay down for 25 minutes, I can take 5 minutes to unwind and let my mind go into rest mode, have that little sleep, and then awake again refreshed because I've had the optimal amount of sleep. So if you want to sleep 8 hours, schedule 8 hours and 30 minutes in bed. You're not going to be sitting there racing like, oh, I should be asleep. It's actually not normal, except when you're completely exhausted, to fall asleep immediately. So it's completely normal to spend 20 or 30 minutes just with your thoughts winding down. And I think something great to do in bed when you're trying to sleep is to meditate. You'll find that it takes a lot of mental effort to meditate, and your mind is going to say, "Hey, wait a minute. Why are you making me do this? I'm exhausted. I want to go to sleep." And you'll say, "Okay, fine." This more is in the mind column, but it really is part of a lifestyle. And I think one of the best things a person can do to sleep better is to do guided meditations slash hypnosis. There's kind of a blurred line between meditation and hypnosis. Now, I've heard my whole life that meditation was this, panacea for all of our ills, and if you could just do it every day, your whole life would be different. And I was never able to do it. I just could not see what a person was doing sitting there with their eyes closed, motionless for 20 minutes. It wasn't until I was introduced to guided meditations and guided hypnosis that I was able to have a huge benefit to meditation and hypnosis and to do it regularly. So by doing this, you don't have the burden of knowing what to visualize, knowing what parts of your mind to access, knowing what negative programming to change. You're guided. That's why it's called guided meditation. So I suggest this is a fabulous thing to do if you are lying awake at night and you don't know what to do with yourself. In one way, that's dead time that you might as well make productive. If you are just suffering so badly and mind is racing a mile a minute, maybe it is a good thing to clean the house, do the laundry, go back to work, because at least you're getting some benefit from that time. But I think it's better not to do any of those things and to only do really soothing activities that aren't going to wake you up and then are going to bring you back to sleep. So guided meditation or guided hypnosis is I'd say the gold standard of activity to do when you can't sleep. Even better, do it before you go to sleep. I think one of the most powerful aspects of guided hypnosis and meditation is where it prompts you to view your thought pattern as a stream and to look at that stream of consciousness from an observant perspective, not simply inside the stream of consciousness. And when you can do that, you can watch that stream of consciousness come to you, be in your frame of focus, but then diminish, then to continue flowing away from you. So when you use that hypnotic device, you're able to validate and experience everything that's on your mind, but simultaneously you're able to see it crest and diminish and go away from you like a wave. A wave comes to the shore, but it also leaves the shore. Maybe a little out there, but this has been hugely helpful to me. And if it weren't for people that made guided hypnosis and guided meditation videos and tapes, I never would have been able to experience that. Okay, moving on to the health aspect, and these categories are a little blurry because one does blur into the other because they're all about our whole lifestyle, body, mind. Reducing your caffeine intake in the afternoon and evening is very important. Most of us are just slogging through the day with caffeine just to get through, but we're paying for it at night. So, everyone has a different cutoff point. For me, it's probably 5 o'clock. I'm not quite as sensitive to caffeine waking me up at night, whereas other people, they can't drink all but 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and if they have any more than that, their mind is racing all night. So know yourself and know when it's time to cut that caffeine off. Also, a lot of people like to have a couple drinks before bed because they think that it's going to relax them, and it will relax you initially, but it will wake you up several hours into your sleep, and it disrupts your REM cycle. Another really insidious effect of alcohol on our sleep is that it brings on night terrors. So this is really unfortunate, and this is something that unfortunately a lot of military veterans who have returned from war experience where they have PTSD and they have night terrors, and so they try to drink to escape that. But unfortunately, they're bringing on the night terrors even stronger than ever. So I really suggest, a lot of people are just in the habit of having that last glass of wine right before bed. Have a cup of herbal tea before bed. At least have one or two less glasses of wine. Cut yourself off an hour or two before bed. Don't just drink right up until bed. The number one factor that cured my insomnia was exercise. When I started exercising regularly, my insomnia went away. That was what my body needed. I wasn't using up my energy for the day, and I could not sleep. But exercise also has a hugely beneficial psychological component. So I was also so much calmer once I started exercising regularly. Now, it's different person to person when they should exercise. A lot of people are better off exercising in the morning because exercise in the evening wakes them up. But for me, I'm the opposite. When I exercise in the evening, and it's like a sleeping pill. I'm ready to just have dinner and go straight to bed afterwards. So everyone is different. Knowing yourself is key. I think another really, really helpful thing is to take a walk after dinner. It doesn't matter how long it is. This is my testing, even a fifth of a mile will help. Because one of the big things that keeps us up is acid reflux. And I'm sure we've all been naughty and we want to scarf down a whole pan of lasagna or bacon cheeseburgers or, all the delicious, wonderful, greasy food in the world. Pound it down with red wine, and we're up all night with the agita. But when you take a walk, it's amazing how much you can diminish your acid reflux. You shouldn't be eating huge, greasy, spicy gut busters right before bed anyway. But I used to suffer from acid reflux, and I have never suffered from acid reflux on the same night that I've taken an evening walk. So this is, and a walk is different than a real workout. You're just kind of, and I'm saying take a leisurely walk. Digestion is chemical, stomach acid enzymes, but it's also physical, peristalsis, and just gravity's effect on your digestive system. So a walk is fantastic. Same with this, whole, tying digestion and sleep together. Eating your dinner earlier is hugely beneficial. I'd say give yourself 3 hours of waking time after dinner where you're sitting upright or standing. This is really important because acid reflux increases your risk for esophageal cancer, which unfortunately is on the rise. So the last health suggestion is to choose wisely. If you're on medications, choose wisely when you take them. Some medications are stimulating. Some make you drowsy. Take the ones that make you drowsy before bed and take the stimulating ones in the morning. You don't need to make it any harder for yourself. So my last suggestion for this video is something called a brain dump. Now, that is a very ungentlemanly name for a really useful cognitive exercise. And all it is when you sit down and you're preparing for the next day and you're drinking your herbal tea, just take out your pad and write down everything on your mind. No one needs to ever see this list. It doesn't need to make sense, but get everything that needs to be done the next day that you didn't get to. What do you need to tackle first thing? What needs to be done in the house? What can you not forget before the morning? And also, what's on your mind, good, bad, or indifferent. Leave it on the page. That way, it's a lot of mental effort to remember something overnight. And, you might go, and we all do this, we lay in bed at night and go, I can't forget this, I can't forget this, I can't forget this. Well, if you just wrote it down, you wouldn't need to put any effort into remembering it. It will be there. So, when I'm done with all these suggestions in the multiple videos, I'm going to release a bedtime routine where you can actually take a checklist and do things in a specific order. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that this is helpful to everyone suffering for insomnia. I mean, I feel qualified to talk about this because I suffered from such debilitating insomnia, and now I don't. And it wasn't because of sleeping pills. It wasn't because I went to the doctor and got a prescription. It's because I changed my behaviors. And that's so much more powerful, and it's so much better, and it's actually it wasn't hard. That's the irony. So stay tuned for my next video, which is about how to make your space better for sleeping and how to make positive associations with your space and your activities towards sleeping. So once again, I'm Will Brennan, natural lifestyle expert and founder of Desert Mountain Apothecary, and thank you so much for joining me.